Okay, welcome to Jim's Table Topics for March 2019. Actually, it is St. Patty's Day today, and the DCAT bag is at the beach. Well, good evening and welcome to the March 2019 edition of Jim's Table Topics. Okay, I'm Jim Morose. I'm your host and your only guest. Okay, so look at, there's so many things to talk about. I got a list here of some of the topics I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about socialism. We're going to talk about the college entrance exams scandal. I guess they even gave it a name, Varsity Blues. We'll talk about Jesse Smollett and his claim to fame. We'll talk about Venezuela, which is part of socialism, but I guess the media can't make that connection, nor can the Democratic presidential candidates. And then we'll talk about the CNN take on the news and how is it that, the college entrance exam scandal never even got press until the people were actually already in court. I mean, we get leaks out of the White House and the FBI all day long to whatever makes Trump look bad, but apparently because a lot of these people involved in the college scandal entrance exam are the one percenters, but they're not the evil one percenters. They're apparently the beautiful Hollywood type one percenters who are, pretty people. And so then apparently they don't need to be smeared all over the network, fake news like Trump and Trump supporters and people like Trump and deplorable people, So does anyone ever connect these dots and and what's going on? I mean, I come month after month, talking, I know that the cable TV isn't the best media to do this. I've been threatening to change my format and go to YouTube, which I do have a YouTube channel. I actually went through and got a YouTube channel. I got a couple of personal things on there and a church event, and I got to figure out how I can separate that stuff, and I'll start posting, I'll do the shows so I don't have any, they have all these copyright laws and everything else, so I got to be careful as to what I can put on, on YouTube. They have certain things, but at any rate, we'll go YouTube podcast, and just make little videos, 10 and, 7 to 10 minutes long. I'm going to have to start breaking up the show. I'll start practicing now. Okay, so basically that's what we want to talk about tonight. I got a few, I don't have any big speakers. It was a busy weekend. I didn't have time to get everything together, so I just you stuck with me. And a few cheesy pictures I got off YouTube. No, not even YouTube. It was Facebook. People send me, and I get little pointers to these cute little things of, cartoons. These things would normally just be little cartoons you'd see in the newspaper, the little political cartoons that would always, slam, they'd just make a joke about some current issue. And let's face it, you got to make a joke about this stuff because it's just getting a little too heavy out there. So, meanwhile, back at the ranch, we'll again, socialism, college entrance scandal, Jesse Smollett, Venezuela. Oh, and I missed the wall. How can you miss the wall? Oh, that's because they won't let them build it. Actually, I thought it was pretty funny. I got one of them cartoons. But see, that's the thing. I see all these cartoons, and I can't seem to keep them all together when I see them, and I try to find them, and I can't get them all together to put them on the show. But there was one funny one that it had a picture of George Bush, and it said, "Hey, didn't I approve $12 billion to finish the wall that President Obama was supposed to finish the wall with? And where did that money go? And how come the wall wasn't built?" Yeah, I know. It's funny how they got money for all sorts of stuff except for the wall, which apparently is needed. But again, the fake news will not allow the truth or the reality of the situation to be pervade to the huddled masses. So they will continue to obfuscate that stuff. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to change gears, and I'm going to go into, there's enough bad news, there's enough fake news. We'll talk about the good news of Jesus Christ. That's going to be my segment right now. So the good news, and again, the good news, it's all about Jesus. And we're in the Lenten season, so in the Lenten season, it's all about the Passion of the Christ and the story of how Jesus' ministry lasted for 3 years and culminated in the Last Supper and his death on the cross. As we start with Ash Wednesday. Oh no, we don't. We start with Fat Tuesday, which is Mardi Gras down in Louisiana, New Orleans. And that's where they celebrate the Mardi Gras, and other people do all sorts of various celebrations to chow down before the Lenten fasting and praying season. And that's what we should be doing, reflection, some spiritual reflection. I think we all could use a little spiritual reflection. And again, like I said, in these 40 days, starting at Ash Wednesday, will end at Easter Sunday, which we all call it, or most people call it, everybody calls it, at least for the Easter sales, for the pretty dresses and Easter outfits and candy and bunnies and everything else. But that kind of misses the point of the season. The reason for the season is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He was died as it was predicted. In the Old Testament is the prophecies and the foreshadowing of what was to come. And so that's Isaiah was, probably 700, 800 years before Jesus came, and made all sorts of predictions about Jesus dying on a cross, which the cross wasn't invented yet, and that the government would be on his shoulders, and yes, they were. The government's on their shoulders. They were all over, follow Jesus all around, just trying to trip him up and have him make mistakes, and but he met him at every turn, because he could read their hearts, and of course he's all-knowing and all-loving. So he, even though they were trying to trick him and do all these things, he still treated them with dignity and respect, and sometimes with a little tough love. But people think that Jesus was this, loving, kind person, but he was firm and he was tough on the issues that needed, tough love and toughness on. And treating the temple, God's temple, that's God's house, and he turned over the money changers because the whole system was corrupt. Another governmental system. But at any rate, but Jesus did preach that we should teach, render to Caesar what Caesar's and render to God what's God. I mean, so paying taxes, they try to trick them on the tax question. So they were, the religious leaders were trying to get Jesus to say something bad about Rome so that the Romans would arrest him and get him for treason and for government crimes. But he wouldn't fall into their traps because he knew exactly what they were doing. So one of them was, everybody hated to pay taxes. So I don't know if you know the story, but they said, well, what do you think about, do we have to pay taxes to Caesar? And they knew that if he said yes, then all the people would be mad at him because they didn't want to pay taxes. But Jesus says, well, give me the coin that you use to that we use to pay taxes, and they gave it to him, and it had a picture of Julius Caesar on it. He says, "Well, render to Caesar what's Caesar's, and render to God what's God's, because that money means nothing." Even Jesus, he had to pay tax as a preacher, and they said, "Hey, you got to pay your tax." So he sent Peter down. Jesus did miracles all the time, and he said, "Yeah." He sent Peter and one of the other disciples, "Yeah, get out into the water. A fish will come up. You put your hand in the water, the fish will come up, grab them, and it'll be the whatever the coins were of the day, 2 drachmas or whatever $5 to pay the taxes will be in his mouth." They pulled it out. There it was, just like Jesus said. And they went and they paid their taxes. So yes, Jesus paid taxes. Oh, and by the way, Jesus died of the death penalty, which is another issue that we're having here. People all over the place kind of vacillate all over about, the death penalty is so cruel and inhumane, and it's, unbiblical, and it's not us. But, yeah, God ordained civil governments. I know I've said this before, but it's right in the Bible in Romans chapter 13. God ordained civil governments to reward the righteous and punish the wicked. So, and it says, and the civil government's ministers don't wield the sword of the Lord in vain. So yeah, biblically speaking, the death penalty is justified in certain cases of capital punishment where they're unrepentant. It's just brutal crimes and things. It's we have records on the books of records on the books. There are cases in the books. They dig this one up. I remember reading about it. It was probably in the 1800s, early 1800s, late 1700s. But there was, someone was convicted of a capital crime and sentenced to death. I think it was in Pennsylvania, and the judge said, "Okay, you've got the death penalty. Death by hanging. You'll have 2 weeks to get your affairs in order and make everything right with your Maker and the Creator of the universe, because you'll be meeting Him in 2 weeks." And that was it. So that was his sentence. They said, "Yeah, you're going to die, and you will meet the Creator of the universe." So, yeah, and whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. But maybe it does. It does. What do you believe, and why do you believe it? You really need to know. I mean, I believe in the Bible and God and the Christian faith, as it's been taught for millenniums here. And it used to be widely and well known that the major religions of the earth, and now all of a sudden religion is really, really bad. But I guess we shall see. I mean, we can't be mamsy-pamsy about our religion. We can't water down what the Bible says about what's truth and reality and what's right and what's wrong. Okay, it's pretty clear that history has proven certain things to be good. There's good and there's evil, and we need to be able to know the difference. So in fact, the Bible admonishes us to be as wise as a serpent and as gentle as a dove. I'm working on my gentleness. I'm trying to be a better Jim. But okay. So again, as far as the good news goes, I just would implore you to try to back away from the bad news, the fake news, and try to get to some biblically based, spiritually based, talk to your pastors, your priests, someone about a spiritual journey, and not like the Salem, spiritual, witches and things like that. But, there's good witches and bad witches according to the Wizard of Oz. So, but the difference between witches and they have spells and they cast spells and do curses, and but as opposed to blessings, thoughts and prayers, blessings and prayers, and thoughts and prayers are with you. But okay, so enough of that. I'm just asking you to really reconsider what you believe, and and what you listen to. And yeah, the media's changing. I mean, I'm old. You know, I'm a baby boomer. We got the generations. You know, after me, we got what, the Gen X's, and then the millennials, and then the I guess they're calling them the Gen Y. Is that the next one? Gen X, Gen Y, Gen X. Yeah. But at any rate, you know, I'm in the older generation, not the great generation that was before me, before us all. But yeah, we need to just remember what history has taught us, and you know, like socialism, it just doesn't work. It's been tried and failed, and it's failing right in front of our eyes. But the good news is Jesus loves us, and He died on that cross to save us from our sins, and there's nothing we can do to earn His forgiveness except just to believe that Jesus is the Lord and the Creator of the universe, and He died for our sins, and we are sinners, and we need to put our faith in Jesus to help us to be better people, and I guess we'll leave it at that. So God bless everyone who's listening to this broadcast, and just be with us and help us to learn what you want us to learn, Lord. Okay, so without further ado, we'll go to a few video clips. I don't have many; they're just pictures, really. But we'll look at a few pictures, and then I'll be back to talk on the topics. Okay. Here's just a little picture of what socialism looks like. Okay, so this is kind of just like a picture of what it'll look like if we get rid of the electoral college. The little states won't mean anything. The only people that will get presidential attention will be California, New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. The big ones that have all the current electoral colleges and the populace. Well, the populace vote. The little states won't matter then. Again, just a little bit more on socialism. Yeah, only in socialism do you burn free stuff sent to you by to save your starving people. And again, yeah, it's pretty bad over there in Venezuela, but once you vote socialism in, you really can't get out of it too easy. Well, this was a little funny. Yeah, an economy so strong, even Jesse Smollett hired 2 more people. Okay, welcome back. So yeah, that's a hodgepodge of things. I'll try to, as I go through the segments here, I'll probably flash some of those in the middle of what I'm talking about or at the end. But basically, I want to talk about socialism now. Okay, so socialism. You saw the clip in there, and basically, everyone's tried it, you know? And it only works for the top 15%. And make no mistake, socialism is communism, okay? The only difference is, like the little sign said there, you can vote socialism in, okay? And, you know, you can ask the government to take all your money, and when they start taking it and telling you what you can and can't do, then it eventually turns into they're taking your money and they're going to tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, you'll end up in Siberia. That's how they did it in Russia, and you know other places. They just kill you. Let's make no mistake about it. Okay, you saw the numbers under the communist dictatorships, which again is just the only difference between socialism and communism is that a communist is a socialist in a hurry. A socialist will wait for you to vote him in so that they can do it with your permission. A communist is just going to do it, and he doesn't care whether you agree with him or not. You agree or you die. That's okay. So be clear. Be really, really clear about what the real definitions are. The fake news and the fake media will not tell you this. Apparently, you're not learning it in school. I mean, we learn that in school. You can see it. It's happening in Venezuela. He's a communist dictator. He was elected as a socialist, but now he's a communist dictator because the people voted in someone else, and he's not going to accept that vote. And so now he's shooting at the protesters that are protesting his presidency, his dictatorship, his highness, and he's shooting at the protesters and any citizen that's against him. In fact, if you must have at least seen that he won't even allow America, because we're good people and we send them supplies and goods for the food for the people that are starving. Again, under socialism, you don't go to the store and see, rolls of bread that you can take your pick. No, when you're in socialism, there's a line for you to go get your bread if there's any left. You're not going to get a whole loaf. You'll get, how many people are in your family? You can have 3 slices of bread. That's how socialism works. But that's, again, it's beautiful for the top 15%, and those are the ones that are, in charge, and the ones who do all the dirty work for the ones in charge. The goon squads, as we call them. Okay, they called it the KGB in Russia. Okay, so here's how it works: the communist structure. They have the leaders and the beautiful people who whatever they say goes, and then a bunch of cronies, the KGB, CIA, whatever you want to call them, the governmental agencies, ministries of the government, and they will enforce everything that the dictators want. And so that's brutal force. You can ask anyone who's been a victim of the KGB. I work with my buddy Gary. He came from Russia in 1980. I've been telling him, you got to write your memoirs, buddy. He keeps telling me how he's seen this before in Russia, and his friends would disappear, and you couldn't talk about it, or you'd disappear next. So yeah, but he'll complain and talk, but he won't write his memoirs. I said, you can retire, just write the memoirs and go on the tour. But again, it's not a joking matter. Socialism is serious, and all the Democratic presidential candidates are saying, yeah, they're supporting this stuff. It just makes no sense to me. In fact, the founding fathers, which no one wants to, give them any credit, dirty old white men. Yeah, that's right. They were all dirty old white men. But they based our government, the only thing that's keeping us free is that thin document called the Constitution. It doesn't need to be, rewritten. It needs to be reread, and they need to start following it, our leaders. And we got to vote them out, all of them. But there was several different quotes. The same quote from similar people in different ages, all the way back into the 1400s and 16 and 1800s and 1700s. And basically it says, a republic or a democracy is the worst form of government, okay? And it will devolve into fiscal chaos with with bad fiscal policies, because once the people learn that they can vote for themselves free stuff out of the treasury from the government, and the government's going to offer all this stuff, the government will collapse, and then it just turns into a dictatorship. Okay, so it's already been, they wrote that saying not because that's what they think is going to happen. That's what keeps happening. It just keeps happening. Okay, just like citizens, we have a life cycle. We're born, we live, and we die. Okay, and between the, I like what Pastor says sometimes. On our tombstones, everyone has from 1947 to 2037. There's those 2 dates. You were born on this date, you died on this date, and your life is that little dash in between. So what are we doing with our little dash of life? That's the question. Okay. So socialism, again, I don't know if the kids in school, I don't know if you're learning history or how they teach government what do you call it? Well, government, forms of government. There's so many different forms. I got a little sheet right here. Well, I'll just hold it up. And as you can see, no you can't. Yeah, there you go. Basically, you know, there's a form of government, you know, from anarchy to, that's like zero government, to a republic, which is just limited government, and then we get into a democracy, which slides into socialism, which slides into totalitarianism and communism. It's very simple, and as you can see, as the size of the government increases, the amount of your freedom decreases. It's just that simple. Okay, it's just that simple. Under anarchy, you got 100% freedom, and there's anything goes. It's kind of dangerous. It's he with the biggest, you know, cave mallet wins, I guess. And then, but at least the republic is the best form of government. Limited government, laws that we all follow. But see, that's the problem. Is that we're supposed to be following the same laws, but Congress has literally, they're violating the Constitution. They should literally be arrested for creating laws that they don't follow, but we have to. And then creating laws that they get to enjoy, but we can't. Example. You know, and the list is endless, but you know, everyone goes out to Washington, all of a sudden they become millionaires. I don't get it. But, okay. They passed Obamacare, the American health care. We all had to be on it, but they excluded themselves because they have a Cadillac health care plan. That ain't right. So, and then they force us to be on Social Security and pay all that money. So, but oh, they don't have Social Security. They have another Cadillac retirement plan. Oh, wow, isn't that special? So they make laws that they don't have to follow, and then they make special laws for them. For their Cadillac lifestyles, they get Cadillac laws, and that's why they can't leave. Though, you know, like Nancy Pelosi, she can't leave. I mean, but okay, socialism. I guess I can't say it enough. It's not a good thing. Okay, I think I've exuded my 10 minutes on socialism. I'm going to show a few little clips, and then we'll go to our next topic. Okay, folks, so this is what it's all about for socialism. To me, socialism means to guarantee a basic level of dignity. But basically, you know, history proves, you know, under socialist regime, 62 million dead under Stalin, 21 under Hitler, and Mao, 49 million. You add up, socialism is not good. It sounds good. All these guys here promised all their citizens all the great stuff, but it ended up to be just like Venezuela. And you don't hear the truth about Venezuela either. Okay. This one is pretty interesting. The Constitution, we the people, doesn't need to be rewritten. It needs to be reread. They're violating the Constitution every day. It's just sad, and we the people need to wake up and force them to do their jobs. Well, I thought this one was pretty funny. Bill Clinton paid Paula Jones $850,000 to go away. I don't remember the FBI raiding his lawyer's office. Boy, have things changed. Liz Warren, what do you mean they're arresting people who lied and cheated to get into college? No hypocrisy. What's the difference between socialism and democratic socialism? Socialism is when the state takes your money. Democratic socialism is when everyone votes for the state to take your money. Okay, welcome back. So here we go. We're going to go into the college entrance scandal. Apparently they gave it a name, Varsity Blues Scandal, yeah, whatever it is. At any rate, I mean, do you think, think about it for a second. Of all the news you hear, everything that you hear, I mean, you know, they come out with all this stuff about, you know, like Nick Sandman. Do you know who Nick Sandman is? No. You know who Jesse Smollett is? Yeah, you know who he is because they love him. He was beat up by MAGA people, but Nick Sandmann was the you know the 14-year-old kid from Kentucky who had a MAGA hat on and the Indian what's his name, Nathan what the heck is his name? Oh. Nathan Phillips, an old Vietnam vet who apparently lied about he never went to Vietnam, but that was his claim to fame. And he assaulted him by walking up to the 14-year-old kid. Here's a grown man in his 60s banging a drum in the kid's ear. I mean, that's assault because the kid's ear is probably hurt. The kid didn't know what to do, so he stood there, and the media even beat him up for not getting out of his way. The media didn't even tell you that there was a whole group of black protesters in some black group. I don't even know what the name of it is because they didn't tell us who it was. I mean, I looked it up and they just said protesters of a black group it's yelling out white racial slurs to all the 14-year-old high school kids from Kentucky. I don't know how many there were, a busload, 50 of them, 40 or 50, and they're waiting for their bus. And so the protesters, the black protesters are yelling and screaming, calling them crackers, honkies, and all these racial slurs to the white people. So picture that if that was the other way around. If there was a bunch of white protesters and there was a black group, what would it? No, okay, so you see there are certain things that are newsworthy and certain things that are not. So that's just an example. I just wanted to put that into perspective that you hear things and you know what they are because that's what they want you to know. That's what they tell you. This college scam, okay? Let's first of all, we all know that the 1% rich people, the 1%ers, their kids go to any college they want because you need a library, you need a study wing. Yeah, I'll donate you $1 million, build a big building, put my name on it, and let my kid go to school. Yeah, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is one of the college admissions guys decided to start his own little business so that instead of paying the college the $1 million to put the building up, he'd get the kids in and he'd keep the money. So, yeah. But, again, it's a scandal. There were over 200 parents involved in this, and the kids, who knows, 200 parents, is that 400 people? A husband and wife, or maybe a husband and an ex-wife and a regular wife, or, I mean, I don't know. How many people, but the bigger question is, who are they? So we got the two Hollywood ones. They're going to be the scapegoats. We'll put out whoever they are, Lori Loughlin and I don't even know who the other one, Felicity Jones Silva, whatever her name is. She played on Desperate College Wife, no, Desperate Housewife. Okay, but you see okay, so they're out there as the sacrificial lambs. I guess Lori Loughlin got kicked off the Hallmark Channel, and Felicity, they'll probably never, get a job. Oh, poor. They paid to have the kids go to college, and now the kids can't even go back to college because they're going to be bullied and tormented. Again, who are the other people, and why is it that we didn't hear about it till they had their court date? If this was a top secret government, operation, we would have known about it months before the trial ever began. In fact, we've been waiting for 2 years for the Trump collusion, and they got nothing. The report's done, they got nothing. It's just a big joke. Obama started it before he left just to torment Trump, and they just carried it on, and all the stuff is there, but the press won't report it because all the beautiful 1%ers are in there, just like this college scam thing. It's not newsworthy because these are our 1%ers, and we don't want their feelings hurt. We don't think that they should lose, but if you force us to, we'll give you 2. So they gave us 2. Do you know who the other ones are? There's at least 198 more. And I'm sure that there's some pretty good ones. I heard it that people speculate who some of them are, so I won't say it because I don't have the exact, but yeah, again, they are the narrative people, the people of the narrative, the beautiful people, and therefore they will get every benefit of that. They will be shielded. They will not be subject to any expectations, speculation, jumping to conclusion like the Nick Sandman. They can jump on his conclusion all day long, like he's a mean, evil, MAGA 14-year-old hat wearer when the kid was assaulted. And he's suing CNN for them lying about the whole incident. And what's his name? Nathan, the Indian there. It's a tough thing getting old, you know what I mean? Nathan Phillips. An old man assaulting a 14-year-old kid. Pathetic. He's a professional instigator. His whole life he does that. He goes up and tries to provoke people. He's what we call an agent provocateur. He gets up in people's faces and hopes that someone with a MAGA hat or something clocks him because he's so obnoxious and annoying, and he just edge people on, just hoping that he finds someone who'll take him out. But as we learned, there's not much violence from MAGA to the beautiful people. All the violence is from the beautiful people to the MAGA people. Because we got instances of it all over the place, but they don't report it. It's so bad that Jesse had to make it up. But we'll get to that when we get to his. But see, all these things just ramble in together. You can't talk about one without talking about the other, because the college entrance exam scamorama is just another example of the media not telling you all the facts when they get it. You telling me they didn't know this 6 months ago, when all the investigations and all the what do they call those grand juries and indictments and everything were handed out? I mean, they just had the trials now. When the media is not telling you the truth, okay? And that's why they have to shut down people like me on cable channels and YouTube and blogs and Twitters and everything else. They don't shut down the brutal, vulgar one percenters who can't say Trump's name without tagging along 35.7 profane, vulgar adjectives and adverbs, but they're the beautiful people, and I'm the deplorable bad person, okay? Just so that we're clear, let's just be really clear about that. Okay, so we all knew that rich kids got into college, but now, how many underprivileged kids who just didn't have enough money but had the grades and the smarts and everything to get in, and they couldn't, and they were bumped by the 1% beautiful people. Where is the justice? Apparently some of those people are getting together, people that have children who had great SATs, had great academic credentials, and should have been in college, but they didn't get in because they didn't have enough money. Okay, so that's, they're suing, and they're suing for like $85 trillion, or billion, I don't know. What I get mad is, so the colleges, they're filthy rich, they overcharge you anyway, and they're making money hand over fist by fleecing people who can't get into college. Did I say that? Yeah. Okay, so look at these people, these beautiful people who paid and beat the system to get their kids in who couldn't get in on their own, by their own merits. They need to be, don't send them to jail, make them go work extra movies and jobs and go work, and all that money they make, they put in a fund for underprivileged kids who have academic scores but can't afford to go into college. That's what should happen. That's justice. That would be justice. But do we have justice? Well, we'll see what happens. And even if we did, would the media report it? No, they will not. I don't think they can do it. I just don't think they can do it. Okay, you know what? I'm going to just throw up a few more repeat pictures just to break up my monotony. And then we'll come back and talk about whatever my next subject is. I'm going to have to read my paper while we take this picture break. Okay, right back. So, you know, when people get in trouble, there's scandals and everything else, everything just turns into a joke. Desperate white liberals. I just thought that was kind of funny, but you know, there's millions of these things online. They just keep coming. And just another reminder, and just like that, everyone forgot that Virginia Democrat leaders were racist and rapists. Where's all that news gone to? They just, oh, they're still the governor, they're still in charge, everything is fine. As long as they stick to the narrative, it's good. Very, very good. Well, I thought this one was kind of funny. In America, they call it lobbying. Everywhere else in the world, they call it bribery and corruption. And okay, welcome back. So here we go. The next subject will be Jesse Smollett. Okay, so again, I think I've kind of, I redundantly repeat myself over and over again, but hey, you know, that's what the media does. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, same old crap whether you want to hear it or not. And it's not even the good stuff. It's just propaganda. It's just propaganda. It's just propaganda. Okay? They only tell you what they want you to. Again, Jesse Smollett. Are you kidding me? He's a movie star or a TV star, you know, making $65,000 per episode. Okay? Per episode. Some people work 2 years to make that. He makes it in one episode. Okay, I don't even know how long the episodes are. A half hour or an hour. I mean, I sit here for an hour and blither on. I don't think I'm going to make $65,000 for this. Though it's worth that. It's worth its weight in gold. Truth. You can't beat it. Yeah, I guess it can be beat. The media beats it all the time with their lies. In fact, they got the little sign there, right? Don't believe me. So, at any rate, Jesse Smollett, he has to, there is no violence from MAGA to the liberals, to the socialists, no. Again, it was all brought on by paid professional agitators. Professional agitators, it's a business, they advertise for them. And, you know, George Soros, and there was the National DNC, Democratic DNC, Democratic National Committee, and all the super PACs and everything. They had the videos on the web, if you can still find them. I played it on the show a year or so ago. It was like right before, during, and after the election, but they had the DNC henchmen go into the cities 2 and 3 days before Trump's rallies at his things, and they had seminars on how to disrupt the Trump rallies, how to get in people's faces, and if they can punch you, we'll pay you an extra $5,000. Oh, you don't know about that? No, I mean, I've told it on this story, on this, you know, this show that I don't get paid $65,000 an episode for. Several times, and it's on the web. You can't find it because they jack up the search engine, so you only find the liberal socialist stuff. You can't find the conservative truth. Lord have mercy. So they have to make up violence from MAGA to the socialist liberals, because the only time it happens is when push comes to shove and it's in your face. You know, they were spitting in the people's face. That's assault and battery, so I think you do have a right to defend yourself and get the guy out of your way. But apparently it's a hate crime. If someone spits on you and hits you first and you defend yourself, it's a hate crime if you're a MAGA guy. But if you're a Jesse Smollett, you're a hero. You're a hero, baby. You're a hero. Okay. So, what are we to make of all this? You know, there was, who was the other guy? There's another guy here. Lost his name. I must have wrote it down on a piece of paper. In Berkeley, it was the same time all this stuff is happening. There was a guy, he was a student at Berkeley College in California, and he had a little table set up, and he was trying to get kids to join his conservative group. And apparently some beautiful liberal socialists didn't like him, you know, having conservative speech on campus. So he was yelling, and he was in the kid's face. I mean, this guy he must have been at least 35, 30, muscle builder. He was huge. And the kid was just a little kid. You know, I mean, not a little kid, but, you know, I mean, he was, you know, in his 20s, and he wasn't like a jock. He was just a regular kid. So at any rate, the kid, somebody was videotaping it from afar, because you could see it. And so the kid said he pulled out his video camera to videotape it, and the guy tried to grab his phone, and the kid pulled it back. And so when the kid pulled his phone back, the other guy clocked him. I mean, he gave him a shiner. The kid almost went down, and the kid had his phone, and he clocked him 2 more times at least, I think. And it was in like 3 weeks ago. I wish I could remember his name. But when President Trump was at the CPAC, but you'd never see this, because you wouldn't, because the liberal press would never play anything of such stature. But President Trump called this kid in from Berkeley. He was on stage, called him up, and he had him come up to the podium and give a few words, and the kid still had a black eye. And President Trump said to all the conservatives out in the audience, I just want you to know that this guy can take a punch. And he took a punch for all of you, because he did. He took a punch for all of us, because we can't wear our MAGA hats, because we might get assaulted. But you can wear your, wear with her shirt, no problem. Even though she lost, it doesn't matter. You can wear that, you can wear your vagina hats, you can wear whatever, and you're protected. But apparently if you wear a MAGA hat, you're not. And if you go to a restaurant, the congressmen and the senators, the liberal, socialist, beautiful senators and Congress people, critters, as they call them, Congress critters, will call in for people if you see a conservative or someone, Trump supporters in a restaurant, you tell them they're not welcome here. You get out, you go now. That's what they told them to do. So now we have to not tell people, don't tell anybody, but I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, and I live in Massachusetts too. Talk about taxation without representation. I haven't had a representative in years who would even come close to trying to be in line with the Constitution. But we're going to have to wake up, people. Because if Jesse Smollett and the people who think like that do things like that, that's crazy. That is crazy. And that takes away from real violence, that real hate crimes that really happen. He makes it up because it doesn't happen that way. It happens the other way, they don't report it. Can you see this, people? Am I talking to myself? I think I am. Hi Jim, how you? I'm doing okay. Really? They have to make up violence while we have MAGA people getting beat up in the streets, kicked out of restaurants, brutalized, not allowed to speak. That's right. There was some guy went to a college, a conservative guy, I don't even know who the heck it was, I forget who it was. And he was giving a speech, and some guy came in with a cowbell and walked around with a cowbell, banging the cow. There's 3 cops right there, and, well, that's his free speech rights, we can't stop him. That's disorderly and disturbing. They make it arrest this guy and get him out of here. But no, they don't, because that's right. He's a liberal, socialist, beautiful person. He can do that. Could you imagine if a conservative did that at a liberal meeting? Of course, we wouldn't waste our time, quite frankly. We got lives to live. We don't bother running around looking for things to bellyache and cry about. Why don't you live your life? No, we can't. We want to make sure that you live it right. But I think that was one of the cartoons. I'll have to play that one up again too. The little cartoon, you know, the people, they show them sit there in the movie theater looking, is there a microaggression in here? Is there a macro? How many microaggressions does it take to make a macroaggression? Let's get a grant and have a study and see how many it takes. You know, and is there any cultural misappropriations going on in this movie over here or over? Are you kidding me? That's what people, is that what life has come down to? That's just sad, people. It really is. Let's deal with reality. We got to be able to deal with reality. But not when the media misappropriates the truth. Yeah, talk about misappropriation and microaggression. It's a macroaggression to not be real and truthful with the American people on the news broadcast, and then just not doing it. Not doing it. Not doing it. Oh, we can't report on everything. No, you can't. But do you have to report on Trump-Russian collusion that doesn't exist 25 times a day, 7 days a week for 3 years now, and there's nothing there? Oh, lordy. Okay, so we're going to have to end it with smaller. I'm going to put up a few more clips, and then we're going to have to close this out with the last subject and a Hail Mary and out the door. We'll be right back. Yeah, this is just another interesting thing. I don't know what Rotten Tomatoes are. Again, you know, these things just pop all over Facebook. Basically, yeah, this is the left. They just, you know, they're not looking to see whether things are entertaining or just trying to live life. They're just looking for that ideological issue in everything of life. It's just sad. It's time to enjoy life, not micromanage everything. But that's what socialism is. Micromanaging everything you think, say, and do, especially your thoughts. And this guy here, the FBI director, I mean, this is just one deep state, you know, conspiracy. I don't even know if it's a scandal anymore. It's just a conspiracy, and we're going to have to wake up. Okay, but that's just another one. And here you go. You know, this is the Sandman, Nick Sandman, his lawyer. I forget the Indian's name here. And you know, he claims he was in Vietnam. He's the one who accosted this kid. He went up and banged. Could you imagine someone walking up and banging a drum in your ear? The kid tried to back off as far as he could. He couldn't go any further. And it's just sad that this gets hardly any airtime with the fake news, the bad news people. But Jesse Smollett, we all know his name. Does anybody know, you know, Sandman's first name? No. Well, we know Jesse. Yes, and we know how to pronounce it. It's not Jesse, it's Jussie. Okay. Jesse, in case you forget. Okay, welcome back. And we're off. We're going to go to the finish line. We got about, 11 minutes. We'll see if we can keep it on time. Okay, so our last and final topic is hashtag walk away. Hashtag walk away. Another story you've never heard of and you never will. You never heard of and you never will. Hashtag walk away. Write it down. Hashtag walk away. Google it. Search it on the website. Hopefully you can find it. And you want to look for a guy named Brendan Straka. Brandon. B-R-A-N-D-O-N. Brandon Straka. S-T-R-A-K-A. Brandon Straka. I played his, probably a year ago, I put his, he was on a TV show, and he was interviewed by Governor Huckabee. Sarah Huckabee's dad, who used to be the governor of Arkansas. He has his own show, Huckabee. And he had brought, and so Brandon Strucker, don't forget, he was he was an iconic Democratic demographic. He's a millennial, and he's gay. And I don't know if he has any other ethnic attributes that the socialist liberals love, but at any rate, he was a gay Democrat, and he just really believed in all this stupidity until he finally figured out that they're not looking out for us. And so he just got so upset with all the things that he thought he was getting with his vote and all these lies that these liberal socialist Democrats have been telling us for the last 20 years. He wrote this whole big thing and posted it on the thing, and he said, "I'm walking away," hashtag, "I'm walking away from the Democratic Party." And so he put that on, and there's millions. In fact, I just Googled it before I started the show, and it said that I think the hashtag walk away is bigger than the blue wave that we just had, okay, at the midterm elections, okay? So, again, how are we going to, get voters to vote when we're being lied to constantly? I mean, let's face it, these politicians. I don't know about you, but don't you get the surveys? I get them. I've got the same one for the last 30 years. What do you think we should do? What's your biggest issue? Is it, the economy? Is it the price of gas? Is it international relationships with other countries, domestic policies, foreign policies, war, this and that? It's the same questions. We got the same problems. They haven't solved anything. But we keep sending the same ones back. They gotta go. They really, really gotta go. Especially here in Massachusetts. It's like they're royalty. I mean, if they die or they want to retire or whatever, they want their kids to take over because they think that they're entitled. Oh, Lord. But at any rate, the hashtag walk away. There's a whole, a black hashtag walk away going on, starting with Kanye West. And again, Candace Owens, who I just had on last month. And there's a whole host of African Americans, Black Americans, whatever you want to call. They're tired of being lied to. Candace Owens had a great quote there in one of the little cartoons that came out, and I couldn't find it again. And my mind is not, it said something about, the hashtag walk away movement or whatever, is because that's why the slave owners wanted their slaves unable to read and write and learn. They didn't want them educated because once you get educated, then you'll know you're lying. That's not right. You're lying. Okay, so we need to educate ourselves. Again, like Thomas Jefferson said, the biggest threat to our form of government is an uninformed voter, or shall I say, I'd update it to a misinformed voter. We're either uninformed or misinformed, or we don't even know what we're voting for. I can tell you right now that Nancy Pelosi and all the other socialists, democratic socialists, liberals, they want all the illegal aliens to come in, so all they got to do is tell them, you see the little D, you vote for the D. That's all you got to do. Just vote for the D. Doesn't matter who it is, just vote for the D. They don't know what the issues are. They don't know anything. They think they're going to get all this free stuff. They're going to get all it. No. Someone's going to pay. We're already $23 trillion in debt, and it's rising every second. Every second it goes up $1 million. Who's going to pay for that? Someday someone's going to want their money. It's going to be Mr. Crab. I want me money. I want me money, SpongeBob. And they're going to want their money. Where's it going to come from? We don't have it. They're taxing us to the hilt, and they're spending it, and they're spending more than they're taking, to the tune of $23 trillion. And it's just, again, it's exactly what they prophesized, the founding fathers. If a democracy will crumble once the people realize that they can vote for themselves, free stuff out of the treasury, and the country will fail due to loose fiscal policies and catastrophic debt. And that's where we are, people. We are at loose fiscal policies, stupid laws, unconstitutional laws, and we're in debt. It's unsustainable debt. You can't explain that debt away. They say, well, it's different. The government debt is different than your personal debt. It's not the same. It's the same. Debt is debt. If you owe money to someone, then they own you. That's how it works. You either pay them or you're going to have to do what they tell you to do. That's why they're doing all this stuff, is because they're owned. I always used to think they were either incompetent or corrupt just for their selfish own personal interest, but I really believe now that they've been compromised. Compromised meaning that someone got to them and has said, either you do it this way or something bad is going to happen. Okay? But no one can really be this stupid, can they? Yeah, I guess they can, because we keep voting them in. Time will tell who's right and who's wrong, but we'll see. Okay, so again, hashtag walk away, a story that you won't be hearing. Oh, I'm going to be like Beto, talking with my hands. Another rocket scientist wanting to be president. He can't make it as a he couldn't win as a senator, so why not run as president? It's like applying for a job as an accountant, and you didn't get the accountant's job, so okay, let me be CEO of the accountant firm then. Yeah, right. Okay, people. We need leaders. We need real leaders who understand the Constitution, who understand what real freedom is, and what, in fact, what is freedom? I don't even think half the citizens know, and I clearly know that elected officials don't know what freedom is, and what rights are, because they make rights up. In fact, the Declaration of Independence is pretty clear. It says, this thing says I got less than a minute left, but I think I might be able. Okay, that's it. I got to end it. The Declaration of Independence says, we are endowed by our Creator, that's God, with certain unalienable rights, okay? And to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, okay? The pursuit of happiness isn't, I'm happy, I gotta be happy. No, happiness in the terms of the 1700s was, happiness is being content in your work, being happy in your livelihood and your personal life and liberty and the things that you're doing. You can live your life without being encumbered by some stupid law or some stupid government regulation or whatever. But at any rate, so rights don't come from the government. The government don't own the rights. In fact, they're supposed to be protecting them. In fact, so they only listed out those 10 amendments. Those are 10 rights that they said the government. The first two come right out and say, Congress shall make no law, shall not infringe. Okay, so make no law, shall not infringe on any of those first 10. And that's, freedom of assembly, the right to free speech that's being violated all over the college campuses, and the right to keep and bear arms uninfringed. Okay, so, I am out of time, and I am sorry. I was rambling on. Gonna have to hold it. We'll have to think about next month. Next month, maybe I'll do something a little bit more local. I was thinking about getting on the computer and just walking through the Danvers website to look at all the boards, all the the town employees, the town. Whatever's on the website, we'll just kind of drive through and see what we find. There's an election coming up, see who's on the ballot, see what's going on. So that'll be April, that'll be the April show. So, alright, we gotta go now, I'm way over time, so, again, forgive me if I have offended or microaggressed or misculturally appropriated anything. I am so sorry. But in the meantime, it doesn't matter because you can just live your life. I'm just a little mouth on the screen. God loves you. I love you. Let's try to be, what do you say? Live like your mother's watching. Alright, love you. Have a good night and we'll see you next month. Good night, Danvers.